Hi there, I'm Barb Owen of HowToGetCreative.com, and I bought myself a present, and I thought I would share it with you. Because, you know, sometimes that's what you got to do. You just got to treat yourself to something, right? I bought myself a new set of Sharpie brush tip markers. And I thought, well, maybe you guys would like to know about Sharpie brush tip markers, and we play with them just a little bit, see what they do, because they're brand spanking new. All I did was open the container, and I did admittedly crack them out and play with them just a little bit. Not much, but just a little bit. Anyway, these are the brush tip markers. So I'm going to pull one out here. We'll just take them all. Well, let's go through the colors first. These are the 12 colors that they come in, and they are black, blue, turquoise, green, yellow, orange, red, lime, purple, berry, magenta, and brown. And hopefully I got all the right ones. I believe I did. Okay, let's take them out. So they are permanent. It says that they're permanent on most surfaces, and you can control the width of your lines, thick or thin, with the pressure of your hand. Make your ideas permanent on almost any surface. Okay, almost any surface. Let's see. I looked up some information about them, and they said that the brush tip allows you to draw both fine and broad lines. Okay, so let's open this up. So there is the tip. Now, a standard Sharpie that is the fine point bullet tip, this is what they look like. We'll go tip to tip. So you can see right away that there's a difference in the barrel. I think you can even see from there the shape of the barrel is, this one is bigger, the brush tip is bigger, the bullet tip is longer, and they have a the brush tip has a hollow spot at the bottom. It's a different kind of marker. Put the right cap on the right one, Barb. And you can't confuse the markers. So you can put the lid on the other end. You cannot confuse the lids of the markers because they are definitely different from each other. Okay. Now, the brush tip, let me get a piece of paper here. So we'll just take this, and the bullet tip makes a consistent line width, okay? So it just does a consistent line width. The brush tip, you can get really fine lines with no pressure, although I'm going to get some thick and thin because of the way the tip works. If I do more pressure, I can get a thicker line. And then if I do a combination of thick and thin, I'm not a brush letterer, so don't get too wigged out about that. This is not about brush lettering. But you can vary the pressure to get the line width. That's the point. They are solvent based. They will go through to the other side of the paper. So you have to be careful with what you use these markers on, like any other Sharpie marker. They are solvent based. They do have an odor. So if you are sensitive to odors, yeah, you might not like this. So if you don't have a problem with the odor from the regular Sharpies, you might be okay with these. I do think that they're a little bit different from each other. The reason I wanted to treat myself with these is when I'm art journaling, and here's one of my art journals, and this particular one has just a whole bunch of leftover stuff from other projects that I've plopped in this journal on these pages and so forth. When I use a regular, and a lot of it's acrylic paint, craft acrylic paint, When I use a regular bullet tip Sharpie in my journals, 99% of the time it will dry those markers out in a heartbeat. They're not meant to use in that way over, acrylic paints like this. But one of the things that I've found is that you can use the brush tip over acrylic craft paints, for example, and you can experience using a Sharpie. So you can get all those really bright colors that you get with the Sharpie, and it doesn't dry out. At least that's been my experience so far. So it's fun to just come in here and just pick up, that's just a stencil design. If I'm careful, if I want to really get finer lines, I can do that. I can't get super fine like the ultra fine Sharpies. I can't get quite that fine, but I can have some control over the line width. If I want to get thicker lines, then it's just a matter of more pressure. So more pressure, thicker lines. Pretty cool, huh? So we'll come down here. We'll do thin, thick, thin. So just vary the pressure, and because it is a brush tip, you can do that. And this time that I've spent working with these, which is not much, admittedly it's not much, but I've had no indicators that they're going to dry out over the acrylic paints. Now, you do have to be aware, let's see, one of these right here. I was playing around with this. This is Sharpie right here. Okay, the brush tip Sharpie. And you can see how it came through the page. So you do have to be aware of that it is likely to come through the page. Now, most of these pages have so much stuff on them that it isn't going to matter. It's a bunch of hodgepodge of stuff. So let's just, this is just, again, paints and various things that I've slopped on this page that were left over. So let's just come in here and pick up some of these shapes. And I like imperfections, so I don't care that I get a little hit and miss with whatever the shape is. And we'll pick up another color and maybe just, I don't know, when I doodle, I turn things into flower shapes. That tends to be my go-to doodle type design. Everybody kind of establishes their own things that they'll doodle with, huh? It's different than the bullet tip. You do have to get used to the fact that the pressure is different with the brush markers, so you do have to be careful with that. But I do want to encourage you to use these in a well-ventilated area because they are pretty stout. Pretty stout. So I'm using very little pressure. So I'm getting a fairly fine line, but absolutely no indicators. And this is really flat craft paint. There's no indicator at this point that these are going to dry out. So if you want something that, if you like to do art journaling and you're looking for markers to use in your journals, I would suggest either paint markers or why don't you give these Sharpie brush tips a try. They're pretty cool, and they do come in some nice colors. So I think I believe these are the only colors that they're available in at this point. But, you know, if people like them well enough, maybe they'll make some more. So that is my experiment with the Sharpie brush markers, which is not an extensive, it's not an extensive amount of time I've used them. It was a present I gave myself, and I thought, we'll just crack them out together and see what they do. But in the time I've used them, I've had no problems with them trying to dry out or not work and not write over my pages, which that has just been one of those bugaboos for me that I'm always looking for the markers, the pens, the things that will write on top of other products. So anyway, so far so good on these. So anyway, get yourself some Sharpie brush tip markers and see what you think. So thanks for joining me. Come join me on the first Friday of every month when I stream live here on YouTube, right here on this channel, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And check us out over at HowToGetCreative.com too. We're a membership website, and we have all different kinds of video classes. We'd love to have you come join us over there. We have a great time. All right, until I see you again, remember to get creative today, because you know it's easy. I'll see you again soon.